Dr. Michael Brennan sat in his therapy office on the evening of November 3rd, 2019, staring at an empty chair. His 6 p.m. appointment hadn't shown up. That wasn't unusual. Clients canceled all the time. But this client, this one was different. Her name was Victoria Ashford, 28 years old, heiress to a pharmaceutical fortune worth $3.2 billion. She'd been seeing him every Tuesday for 11 months. She'd never missed a session, not once. Dr. Brennan checked his phone, no message, no call. He tried her number, straight to voicemail. At 7:15 p.m., her family's lawyer called him. "Have you seen Victoria?" "No, she didn't come to her session." There was a pause. Then, "Dr. Brennan, Victoria is missing, and you were the last person scheduled to see her." The police arrived at his office at 8:43 p.m. And that's when Dr. Brennan realized whatever Victoria had told him in their last session, whatever secrets she'd finally been ready to reveal, someone didn't want anyone else to know.
Before we step into what really happened, pause for a second. Take a breath. And tell me, where are you right now? What time is it where you're watching this? Hit that subscribe button, because this story goes places you won't see coming, and you won't want to miss a single moment. Now, let's go back. Back to where it all began.
Victoria Ashford was born into a world most people only see in movies. Manhattan penthouses, private jets, galas where a single dress cost more than most people make in a year. Her father, Charles Ashford, built Ashford Pharmaceuticals from the ground up, started in a garage in New Jersey in 1987. By 2010, it was one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in North America. They made everything: pain medications, antidepressants, cancer treatments. They saved lives. That's what Charles always said. We save lives. Victoria grew up believing that, believing her family was good, that their wealth came from helping people. But wealth like that, it comes with weight. From the time Victoria was 5 years old, she had a security detail, bodyguards who followed her to school, to ballet, to birthday parties. She wasn't allowed to have sleepovers, wasn't allowed to go to public places without advance notice. Her mother, Catherine, was elegant and cold, the kind of woman who smiled for cameras, but never for her daughter. Catherine cared about one thing, the family's image. "You represent the Ashford name," she'd tell Victoria. "Everything you do reflects on us." Victoria learned early that love in their family was conditional, performance-based. Get good grades, receive approval. Win the piano competition, receive affection. Mess up, show weakness, cry in public, receive disappointment. So Victoria became perfect. Perfect student, perfect daughter, perfect heiress. She graduated from Yale at 22, took a position at Ashford Pharmaceuticals, worked in their public relations department. She was being groomed to take over the family business. But something was wrong. Victoria started having panic attacks when she was 24. They'd come out of nowhere, in meetings, at dinner parties, once at a charity gala in front of 500 people. She'd felt her chest tighten, her breath disappear, the room spin. She excused herself to the bathroom and collapsed there. Her mother found her, hyperventilating on the marble floor. Catherine didn't ask if she was okay, didn't hold her, didn't comfort her. She said, "Pull yourself together, people are watching." Victoria started seeing Dr. Brennan 2 weeks later. Not because her parents suggested it, because she Googled "Therapist Manhattan" at 2 a.m. after another panic attack left her sobbing on her bedroom floor. Dr. Michael Brennan was 53 years old. He'd been a therapist for 27 years. He wasn't flashy, didn't have a celebrity client list, didn't write best-selling books. He just listened, really listened. His office was on the Upper West Side, small, comfortable, a couch, a chair, soft lighting, a box of tissues always within reach. When Victoria first walked in, she looked like she was auditioning for a part. Designer coat, perfect hair, flawless makeup. She sat down, crossed her legs, and smiled. "I'm not sure why I'm here," she said. "I don't really have any problems. I just thought it might be, I don't know, Helpful? For stress management? Dr. Brennan nodded. What kind of stress are you managing? Just work, family stuff, normal things. Tell me about your family. And for the first time, Victoria's perfect mask cracked. Just for a second. Her smile faltered. Her hands clenched. They're fine. We're close. Dr. Brennan didn't push. Not yet. He asked, what about work? I work for my father's company, Ashford Pharmaceuticals. How is that? Another crack. Smaller, but there. It's an honor, she said, but her voice was hollow. They talked for 47 minutes that first session, surface-level things, but Dr. Brennan could see it. The performance, the mask, the girl underneath who was drowning. At the end, Victoria stood to leave. Same time next week? Dr. Brennan asked. She hesitated, then nodded. Yes, same time. Over the next 11 months, Victoria slowly let the mask fall. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fast. But piece by piece, session by session, she started telling the truth. About her mother's coldness, her father's emotional absence, about how the family's wealth felt like a cage, about how she'd never been allowed to choose anything, not her school, not her major, not her career. Everything had been decided for her. I don't know who I am, she told Dr. Brennan one afternoon in June. I've spent my whole life being who they wanted me to be, and now I don't know if there's anything left underneath. Dr. Brennan leaned forward. There is, he said gently, and we're going to find it. But there was something else, something Victoria hadn't told him yet. He could feel it, the secret she was circling, the things she wanted to say but couldn't. And then in October, 10 months into therapy, she finally started to crack it open. There's something about the company, she said quietly, about Ashford Pharmaceuticals. What about it? Victoria's hands were shaking. I found something in my father's office. Documents. Reports. What kind of reports? She looked up at him, and for the first time, Dr. Brennan saw real fear in her eyes. Evidence, she whispered, that we've been hiding side effects, fatal side effects, of one of our biggest drugs. Dr. Brennan felt his chest tighten. Victoria, people have died, and we covered it up. My father covered it up. She started crying. I've been working for a company that kills people, and I didn't even know it. Dr. Brennan handed her the tissue box. What are you going to do? He asked carefully. Victoria wiped her eyes, took a shaky breath. I don't know. I don't know if I should go to the authorities, if I should confront my father, if I should just walk away from all of it. Those are all big decisions, and you don't have to make them today. Victoria looked at him, but I do because I scheduled a meeting with a journalist for next week. Dr. Brennan's pulse quickened. A journalist? I'm going to give them everything. The documents, the evidence, all of it. Victoria, that's dangerous. If what you're saying is true, your family, your father, I know. But I can't keep living like this. I can't keep being part of something this wrong. That session ended with Victoria more determined than Dr. Brennan had ever seen her. She scheduled their next session for November 3rd. I'll probably need you after I do this, she said with a sad smile, to help me figure out who I am after I blow up my entire life. I'll be here, Dr. Brennan promised. But Victoria never made it to that session. When the police arrived at Dr. Brennan's office, they had questions. Detective Sarah Chen was mid-40s, sharp, no nonsense. When did you last see Victoria Ashford? Last Tuesday, October 27th, a regular session. How did she seem? Dr. Brennan hesitated. Client confidentiality was sacred, but Victoria was missing. She seemed determined. She was planning to do something difficult. What kind of something? I can't tell you that. Confidentiality. Detective Chen's eyes hardened. Dr. Brennan, a woman is missing if you know something. I know she was planning to meet with a journalist to expose something about her family's company. Chen exchanged a glance with her partner. Did she tell you who the journalist was? No. Did she seem scared, threatened? Not scared, anxious, but resolved. Chen closed her notebook. We'll need you to come down to the station tomorrow, give a formal statement. Of course. After they left, Dr. Brennan sat in his office for a long time. Victoria was missing, and he was one of the last people to know what she was planning. The next morning, the story broke. Heiress Victoria Ashford missing. Every news outlet picked it up. The Ashford family was too prominent to ignore. Charles Ashford gave a press conference. He stood at a podium, cameras flashing, his face drawn with worry. Our daughter Victoria has been missing since Monday evening. We are working with law enforcement and asking anyone with information to come forward. Victoria, if you're watching this, we love you. Please come home. His voice cracked. It looked genuine. But Dr. Brennan wondered. Catherine Ashford stood beside her husband, perfectly composed, not a tear, not a tremor, just cold, controlled grief. The media speculated wildly. Kidnapping, foul play, a secret boyfriend, mental breakdown. Dr. Brennan's name came up. Therapist questioned an Heiress disappearance. His phone rang constantly. Reporters, former clients asking if they should be worried. His wife concerned. And then 3 days after Victoria disappeared, Dr. Brennan received an envelope. No return address. Postmarked 2 days before Victoria went missing. Inside, a USB drive. And a note in Victoria's handwriting. Dr. Brennan, if something happens to me, you need to see this. You're the only person I trust. Don't give it to the police, not yet. Not until you understand what's on it. They're listening. They're always listening. V. Dr. Brennan's hands shook as he read it. He looked at the USB drive and knew his life was about to change. Dr. Brennan didn't open the USB drive right away. He should have taken it to the police. He knew that. But Victoria's note said not to. Said they were listening. Who was they? That night, Dr. Brennan waited until his wife was asleep, went to his home office, locked the door. He plugged the USB drive into his laptop. It contained 3 folders: financial records, internal emails, clinical trial data. Dr. Brennan opened the financial records first. Spreadsheets, hundreds of pages, transactions, offshore accounts, shell companies. Money moving in ways that made no sense, unless you were trying to hide something. He opened the emails next, and his blood ran cold. They were from Charles Ashford, Victoria's father. Emails to board members, to lawyers, to executives, all discussing the same thing: Oxynex. Oxynex was Ashford Pharmaceuticals' best-selling painkiller. It had been on the market for 8 years, generated $2.3 billion in annual revenue. But these emails, they told a different story. From Charles Ashford, to board of directors, subject, Oxynex Phase 3 results. Gentlemen, as you know, our Phase 3 trials have shown some concerning cardiac events in patients taking Oxynex long-term. Legal has advised that disclosing this data could open us to significant liability. I propose we bury the results in the appendix of our FDA submission. Highlight the positive data, downplay the risks. This drug is too important to our bottom line to pull now. -C. Dr. Brennan felt sick. He opened the clinical trial data. Patient outcomes, adverse events, deaths. 47 people had died during the Oxynex trials from heart complications. The data had been suppressed, reframed, hidden, and the drug had been approved anyway. Dr. Brennan sat back in his chair, staring at the screen. Victoria had been telling the truth. Her family's company wasn't just negligent, it was criminal. And Victoria had proof. The next morning, Dr. Brennan called Detective Chen. I need to see you, privately, not at the station. They met at a coffee shop in Brooklyn, somewhere far from Manhattan, far from the Ashfords. Dr. Brennan handed her the USB drive. Victoria sent this to me before she disappeared. Chen's eyes widened. What's on it? Evidence that Ashford Pharmaceuticals covered up fatal side effects of one of their drugs, that they knowingly let a dangerous medication stay on the market. Chen plugged the drive into her laptop, scrolled through the files. Her face went pale. Jesus Christ. Victoria was going to expose this, Dr. Brennan said. She told me she was meeting with a journalist. Do you think her family found out? I don't know, but she disappeared right before she could go public. Chen closed the laptop. Dr. Brennan, if what's on this drive is real, we're talking about a massive federal investigation. FDA, DOJ, this is bigger than a missing person case. I know. And if the Ashfords are involved in her disappearance, she didn't finish the sentence, but they both knew. People with that much money, that much power, they didn't just let whistleblowers walk away. The investigation moved quickly after that. Federal agents raided Ashford Pharmaceuticals' headquarters. Charles Ashford was brought in for questioning. The media exploded. Ashford Pharmaceuticals under federal investigation. Deadly drug scandal rocks billion-dollar company. But still, no sign of Victoria. Dr. Brennan couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. He kept thinking about her, the young woman who'd sat in his office trying to find the courage to do the right thing. Where was she? Was she hiding, running? Or was she... He couldn't finish the thought. 2 weeks after Victoria disappeared, Dr. Brennan received another envelope. This time it was delivered by hand. A courier knocked on his door at 11 p.m. Inside, a letter, handwritten. Dr. Brennan, I'm safe. I can't tell you where I am. Not yet. I know you gave the USB drive to the police. Thank you. That was the right thing to do. But there's more you need to know. My father isn't the villain in this story. He's the victim. Dr. Brennan read that line 3 times. When I was 16, my father was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. He hid it from everyone, the board, the investors, even me, for years. By the time I found out, he'd already lost the ability to make complex decisions. He was just going through the motions, signing things people put in front of him. The person running Ashford Pharmaceuticals for the last 8 years isn't my father. It's my mother. Dr. Brennan's hands went numb. Catherine Ashford made every decision, buried every report, hid every death. My father doesn't even remember what Oxynex is anymore. I tried to tell him, tried to make him understand, but he just looked at me with these empty eyes and said, I trust your mother. She's always known what's best. He still thinks it's 2015, still thinks he's running the company, still thinks I'm in college. My mother has been using him as a puppet, a figurehead, while she built an empire on bodies. And when I told her I was going to expose it, when I told her I had the documents, she told me if I said anything, she'd have my father declared incompetent, strip him of everything, put him in a facility. She said, you'll destroy him. Is that what you want? To humiliate your father in his final years? I told her I'd rather humiliate him than keep letting people die. She didn't say anything, just looked at me. And I knew. I knew I had to disappear before she made me disappear. Dr. Brennan's vision blurred. Victoria wasn't missing. She was hiding from her own mother. The letter continued. I'm going to testify when the time is right, when it's safe. But I need you to do something for me first. Go see my father, please. He's at our estate in Connecticut. My mother keeps him there now, away from the press. Talk to him. Even if he doesn't understand, even if he doesn't remember me. Tell him I love him. Tell him I forgive him. Tell him none of this was his fault. Please, Victoria. Dr. Brennan drove to Connecticut that weekend. The Ashford estate was massive, gated, guarded. He told security he was Charles Ashford's therapist, which was technically a lie, but they let him through. A nurse led him to a sunroom at the back of the house. Charles Ashford sat in a wheelchair, staring out at the garden. He looked nothing like the powerful CEO Dr. Brennan had seen on TV. He looked small, fragile, lost. Dr. Brennan sat down beside him. Mr. Ashford, my name is Dr. Michael Brennan. I am a friend of your daughter's. Charles turned slowly. His eyes were cloudy, confused. My daughter? Victoria. A flicker of recognition. Then it faded. Victoria,
She's at school, Yale. She's doing very well. Dr. Brennan's throat tightened. She wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said she loves you, and she forgives you, and none of this was your fault. Charles blinked. Tears formed in his eyes, though he didn't seem to know why. I don't understand, he whispered. What did I do? Nothing, Dr. Brennan said gently. You did nothing wrong. Charles started crying, quiet, confused tears. I just wanted to help people. That's all I ever wanted, to save lives. Dr. Brennan took his hand. I know. And you did. For a long time, you did. They sat in silence for a while. Then Charles looked at him with sudden clarity, just for a moment. He said, Tell her to be careful. Catherine doesn't forgive. And then the clarity was gone. His eyes went empty again. Dr. Brennan left the estate with tears streaming down his face.
The federal investigation into Ashford Pharmaceuticals intensified. Catherine Ashford hired the best lawyers money could buy. She gave interviews, played the grieving mother searching for her missing daughter. I just want Victoria home safe, she said on national television. Nothing else matters. But behind the scenes, the evidence was mounting. The emails, the financial records, the clinical trial data. All of it pointed to one person, Catherine. And then 3 months after Victoria disappeared, something unexpected happened. Catherine Ashford's head of security, a man named Thomas Vega, who'd worked for the family for 15 years, came forward. He met with federal prosecutors, brought his own evidence, security footage, audio recordings, financial transactions. He revealed that Catherine had tried to hire him to handle the Victoria situation. She didn't say it explicitly, Thomas told prosecutors, but the implication was clear. She wanted her daughter gone. Thomas had refused, quit instead, and now he was testifying against her. The prosecution moved quickly. Catherine Ashford was arrested on December 18, 2019. Charges? Fraud, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, attempted murder. The trial was set for March. But there was still the question no one could answer. Where was Victoria? Dr. Brennan waited, hoped, prayed she was safe. And then on January 4th, 2020, 2 months after she disappeared, Victoria Ashford walked into a federal courthouse in Manhattan. Cameras swarmed her. Reporters shouted questions. She kept her head down, said nothing. But she was there, alive, ready to testify. Dr. Brennan was in the courtroom that day. Victoria took the stand, looked directly at her mother sitting at the defense table. Catherine's face was stony, cold, unforgiving. Victoria's voice was steady as she testified. She detailed everything, the covered-up data, the deaths, her father's illness, her mother's manipulation. The jury listened in silence. At one point, Victoria's voice broke. My mother told me once that the Ashford name was more important than anything, more important than truth, more important than lives. She looked at Catherine. I used to believe her. I thought family loyalty meant protecting our secrets, no matter what. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. But then I realized real loyalty isn't protecting someone from consequences. Real loyalty is stopping them before they hurt anyone else. Catherine's expression didn't change, but her lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Victoria finished her testimony 3 hours later. As she stepped down from the stand, she walked past her mother. Catherine leaned forward, whispered something Dr. Brennan couldn't hear. Victoria stopped, turned, and whispered back. Then she walked out of the courtroom. Later, Dr. Brennan asked Victoria what her mother had said. Victoria smiled sadly. She said, "You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy." And what did you say? I said, "You destroyed it long before I did. I'm just making sure you can't destroy anyone else." The trial lasted 6 weeks. The jury deliberated for 3 days. And on March 27, 2020, they returned with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Catherine Ashford was sentenced to 23 years in federal prison. Ashford Pharmaceuticals was dismantled, assets liquidated, a $4.7 billion settlement paid to victims. Charles Ashford, deemed incompetent to stand trial, was placed in a memory care facility. And Victoria? Victoria had to figure out who she was now. A week after the verdict, Victoria came to Dr. Brennan's office. It was the first time she'd been back since that October day 5 months earlier. She sat in the same chair, looked around the room. "I missed this place," she said quietly. "I missed you," Dr. Brennan replied. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Victoria said, "I visited my father yesterday." "How is he?" "The same. He doesn't remember any of this. The trial, the company, me." Her voice cracked. "He asked me if I was his nurse." Dr. Brennan handed her the tissue box. "I'm so sorry." She wiped her eyes. "The weird thing is, I think he's happier now. He doesn't have the weight of everything anymore. He's just peaceful. That's a gift, in its own way." "Is it?" "Yes, because you gave him that. By telling the truth, you freed him from being complicit in something he would never have chosen if he'd been himself." Victoria thought about that. "I keep thinking about what my life would have been like if I'd never found those documents, if I'd just stayed blind." "Do you wish you had?" "No," she said immediately. "I wish I'd found them sooner. I wish I'd been braver sooner." "You were exactly as brave as you needed to be when you needed to be." Victoria smiled through tears. "Thank you. For believing me, for helping me. You did the hard part. We did it together." Before she left, Victoria turned back. "I'm starting a foundation," she said, "with what's left of my trust fund, to help whistleblowers. People who want to do the right thing but are terrified of the consequences." "That's beautiful." "I'm calling it the Empty Chair Foundation." Dr. Brennan's eyes filled with tears. "After the chair you sat in?" he asked. "After the chair I didn't sit in," Victoria corrected. "November 3rd, when I disappeared. That empty chair represented a choice, to stay silent or to speak." She smiled. "I want to make sure no one else has to make that choice alone." Over the next year, the Empty Chair Foundation grew. Victoria hired lawyers, therapists, security experts. They helped corporate whistleblowers navigate the legal system safely. They provided protection, support, community. Victoria herself spoke at conferences, testified before Congress, advocated for stronger whistleblower protections. She was no longer the perfect heiress. She was something better. She was herself. Dr. Brennan continued seeing her, not as often, once a month, then every few months, but the relationship had changed. Victoria didn't need him to help her find herself anymore. She'd already done that. Now they just talked, as friends, as people who'd been through something profound together. "How's your father?" Dr. Brennan asked during one session. Victoria said, "I visit him every week. He still doesn't know who I am, but I think some part of him feels loved, and that's enough." 2 years after Victoria disappeared, Dr. Brennan retired from private practice. He'd spent 29 years listening to people's pain, helping them heal. But Victoria's case had changed him. He realized that sometimes healing isn't just about the individual. Sometimes it's about changing the systems that harm people in the first place. So he joined Victoria at the Empty Chair Foundation, not as a therapist, as an advisor, a mentor, a friend. Together they helped dozens of whistleblowers expose corruption in corporations, government agencies, healthcare systems. They saved lives, just like Charles Ashford had always wanted to do, just like Victoria had learned to do. On a Tuesday afternoon in November, 3 years to the day after Victoria disappeared, Dr. Brennan sat in his old office. It belonged to someone else now, a young therapist just starting out. But he'd asked if he could visit, just once. He sat in his old chair, looked at the couch where Victoria had sat for 11 months. And he thought about that empty chair, November 3rd, 2019. The session that never happened. The moment everything changed. Victoria had disappeared that day, but she'd also been found. Not by the police, not by her family, by herself. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is disappear. Not forever, just long enough to figure out who you are when no one's watching. Who you are when the performance ends. Who you are when you finally tell the truth. Victoria Ashford disappeared after her final therapy session, but she didn't stay gone. She came back. And when she did, she came back as herself. The heiress was gone, but the woman, the real woman, she was finally fully alive. And that's the only wealth that matters. If you've ever felt trapped by who people expect you to be, if you've ever wanted to burn it all down just to be free, this story is for you. Because disappearing doesn't mean giving up. Sometimes it means finding the courage to be found on your own terms, as yourself. That's what Victoria did. And maybe, just maybe, that's what we all need to do. Find our own empty chair and choose not to sit in it. Choose instead to stand.